And at 10, Fazbear Frights owners. Now this is a bit of a cheaty one, but the guys who actually end up opening or maybe where they're just like working in Fazbear Frights, the location that we're in for FNAF 3 don't actually have names, even like let alone faces. The guy who says that they found old training tapes or the one who introduces the actual phone guy tapes has never really been seen. Which makes sense given that he's not really a major character, but it's still something that I think is worth mentioning, okay? Because without them, there would be no FNAF 3, which means that there'd be no rest of the series. Like either because they wouldn't have opened the place if they didn't exist, or even if they weren't like the owners and they were just like the key holders or something, they wouldn't have been there to open the door, thus no gameplay other than just standing outside. So even if you're mad at me for it, these guys, whatever their names are, deserve their moment in the spotlight. So thank you, possibly deceased FNAF 3 guys, for your service to this series as a whole, as well as your contributions to breaking my brain. I really appreciate it. And at 9, Lewis. Lewis was introduced in FNAF AR through emails that he's lucky only he is able to see and not HR. Lewis is a creepy coworker of Ness who works IT at the company creating all the robots for the Fazbear Entertainment delivery service that we experience in Special Delivery, and is probably the creepiest damn character in the entire series, including William. You know what? Honestly, I'm surprised that he wasn't killed, especially because Ness is indeed Vanessa and Vanny, since he seems to be onto their scheme a little bit. Like, he's intercepted search queries and emails that just make Ness seem off and straight up like a serial killer, since she ordered realistic human masks at some point, didn't she? Well, honestly, we know more about these human masks than we do about Lewis, since we know nothing about him. We only know his name, not even a voice or a face. So yeah, Lewis is certainly one of FNAF's hidden characters. And for the few people in the comments saying that FNAF AR is a fan game, no it's not. Why on earth would you think that it was, okay? What gave you that impression? It is a canonical entry to the series. It's not a full game, but it's still like FNAF 8.5 at least. And at 8, Jeremy. As I've said in the Souls Trapped in Animatronics video, Jeremy is probably the biggest troll name in FNAF history, being used for 3 separate characters. However, only 2 of them are actually direct victims of William. Jeremy is the name of one of the original missing children who goes on to possess Bonnie. The other Jeremy is a playtester for the Freddy Fazbear virtual experience, the one who was testing the game before Tape Girl, who ends up finding the glitch trap anomaly, and that causes him to go mad. And by going mad, I mean genuinely psycho. It's since Jeremy ends up cutting off his own face, which is interesting, given that the Withered Bonnie animatronic, as seen in FNAF 2, is also missing his face. It's interesting, because like, Withered Bonnie is the animatronic possessed by the missing children's incident Jeremy, but then this Jeremy cuts off his face. I mean, like, I don't know if that was, if it means anything, or if it's intended or just a coincidence, but knowing this series, I'm always worried that like a smallest detail is gonna have the biggest consequence. Either way, okay, we don't end up seeing Jeremy's face before or after he removed it, and the fact that he removed it makes him even more hidden in my mind. But like, bro, seriously, how the hell did you do that? And it's 7, original victims. While yes, we see the original victims' ghosts in the FNAF 3 Happiest Day minigame, as well as when they create Springtrap, they literally all use the same ghost sprite, okay? So we haven't really seen their true forms in the games. We've seen a potential look for Cassidy in the survival logbook, but within the context of the games, we've never really seen what the original missing children look like. So in a way, Gabriel, Susie, Fritz, Jeremy, and Cassidy are all hidden characters in that sense. I know that you were probably expecting this list to be about characters that we don't know about, but how the hell could we make that list? That just doesn't seem possible. If we don't know the characters, how are we supposed to find out about the characters for a list? I have no contact with Scott Cawthon, and even if I did, I don't think that he'd spill the beans on characters we missed. I don't think it would happen. And at 6, sister location technicians. The technicians are 2 employees of Fazbear Entertainment Inc. who used to work with the Funtime animatronics of Circus Babies Entertainment and Rental from FNAF's sister location. One technician is soft-spoken and seems bored with his job, implying that he may be used to it, while the other, who speaks using a Brooklyn accent, appears to be less experienced and more uneasy with the environment of Circus Babies. The 2 technicians appear for the first time during Night 4, when they use the scooper on Ballora, and during Night 5, their dead bodies are seen hanging in Ballora's gallery and the Funtime Auditorium. It's unknown why Ennard didn't use one of their bodies to escape. Some fans speculate that it was because the Funtime animatronics wanted to make Michael Afton suffer, because, like, you know, they thought he was William, they wanted to get revenge, they wanted to torture him. However, we never actually get to see the faces of these characters, and on all honesty, in my opinion, they could still be fake. Considering how these animatronics are at times able to recreate the voices of other people, could these actually just be dummy bodies meant to scare us? And like, Ennard needed Ballora to get scooped anyway so that she could then become a part of Ennard. So why would they want to kill them for revenge on that? Is it because of the shocking baby thing? Because like even then, I feel like baby's probably into that. Halfway through into number 5, Mrs. Afton. Despite the thorough belief in some fans that Mrs. Afton possessed Ballora, we haven't actually seen Mrs. Afton at all in the games. Well, honestly, we don't even know her actual 100% confirmed as canon name. So a hidden character Mrs. Afton certainly is. We don't even know what happened to her or if she really existed at all, or if Afton's kids just were adopted and then he used Ballora as a surrogate mother. Like sure, there's a family table in Security Breach with a mother at it, but that could just be because there was a mother figure in their lives at least. But we don't know if that figure was the kid's biological mother or hell if she was even human. So yeah, there also isn't really any evidence in the game or any other real part of the lore that suggests what happened to her if she was married to William. Some say that she dies in a car crash. I'd say that there's nothing that suggests she died at all, but it's FNAF, so that is a safe bet. But other than that, there's not really an explanation as to what happened with Mrs. Afton, or who she was as a person, or even as a mother, okay, if she ever got the chance to be. So yeah, history. In at 4, Tape Girl. Tape Girl was a developer for the Freddy Fazbear virtual experience in FNAF Help Wanted. However, given the unknown malicious code in the game, she left secrets scattered amongst the minigames in hopes that it would be dealt with at a later time. Procrastination right there. All of her tapes can be played in the tape room, which can be unlocked by hitting the tape placed on the shelf in the prize counter with any droppable item. Once unlocked, it can be accessed through the tape player placed above the smaller monitor in the level select room from Blacklight mode. The tape room is mostly just darkness with a desk in the center, but on that desk there is a shelf where all the tapes that you've collected are stored. The player can listen to them by just selecting them, and then it goes in the tape player. You don't really need to pick anything up or move it. But all we ever see about Tape Girl is her voice. There is nothing else, which begs the question if she was even real, or if this is a sort of like glitch trap acting like baby thing, where he made her up so that we'd trust her, and then he ultimately locked us away in our minds. Honestly, I don't doubt that. I feel like that could be a thing, although it's not likely. Getting close to the end in at number 3, the top. Now, whether or not she knew about this, okay, Vanessa's recommendation for the night guard position came from the top. That's how it's described in the game, which does end up confusing plenty of people in the administration, as we learned from other various duffel bags. She had no security experience, and she was being transferred from another part of the company, but nevertheless, she still got the job, despite multiple people saying that they wouldn't go forward with hiring her, which ultimately probably led to their deaths, if we're totally honest. So, who on earth is the one ordering her promotions? Seemingly, we got no idea. We could assume maybe it's William, but he's currently plugged in charging in the basement, so it would have to be someone else who knew her, and knew Afton's interest in her, and then made her a VR tester so that she could then get possessed, and then made her a security guard afterwards so that Afton could get her to do what he needed her to do. But who could it possibly be? MatPat seems to think that it's Gregory as a hacker who's pulling the strings, but until that's confirmed, it's yet another person in this series that we've heard about but have yet to see. God damn it, Scott. But ultimately, in at number 2, Henry Emily. While Henry does ultimately perish thanks to the FNAF 6 fire, he honestly should have been a target for William beforehand, especially once he learned about who was actually committing crimes in the restaurants. But William didn't go after him for some reason. I mean, like, maybe it would have been too obvious. Like, there were 5 murders that occurred inside the walls of the restaurants, and they already suspect William for it, but then boom, his business partner goes missing, and William is left as the sole proprietor to the business. That is a super sus move that would definitely result in being ejected, okay? Like, motive means an opportunity. Motive, absolutely there, especially if, like, let's say William was, like, cheating with Henry's wife or something, which I doubt. But I mean, like, means easy to find. Just find the knife. And then, like, honestly, killing Henry would only have resulted in William going to jail, which probably saved Henry's life. But still, despite all of this, we still don't know what Henry looks like. I mean, we have the desk guy, who is like our best guess to be Henry, but that's 8-bit. And other than that, we have no look for him in the games. Maybe he shows up in like the Silver Eyes graphic novel, I'm not sure. But you're all adamant that the books and games are separate. Okay, so if he is, you can't yell at me in the comments without being hypocritical, okay? So if he's in the novels, if he's in the graphic novel where we actually get visual representation, you can't yell at me for it. I win. Ha! And finally, in number 1, Phone Guy. While in the end, Phone Guy wasn't the killer, he still isn't really very helpful in the long run, considering how he says that we aren't actually going to get killed. Well, okay, like he warns us to be careful, but he doesn't say explicitly you're going to die. I don't know. I don't like this guy, okay? He could have done so much more. And in essence, all he said was be careful, it's trial and error. Because honestly, after surviving this job for so long, you'd think that whoever this Phone Guy is would have had some goddamn tips on how not to die. But instead, he just gives us the freaking company motto. Like, I don't care if one of the animatronics bit someone 10 years ago, okay? They're trying to kill me now, what do I do? Anyway, this is the original FNAF hidden character. Okay, we know that he's voiced by Scott, but unless the Phone Guy is moonlighting as a rogue indie game developer, they aren't the same dude, okay? We have no idea what the Phone Guy looks like, okay? He can't look like Scott unless he is the indie game developer now. So yeah, we don't know what he looks like. And honestly, at this point, the Phone Guy might still be William Afton. And we can't tell since we've never seen him. I mean, we've heard William talk, but maybe he was just faking an American accent like freaking Tom Holland does, okay? It's a thing. And it's Roxanne. Roxanne, even though she is an animatronic, is extremely self-centered. She's shown repeatedly to be complimenting herself in the mirror and furiously asking Gregory if he thinks himself better than she is. She does like the classic, you think you're better than me? You think, from like, is that like New Jersey or New Yorkers? I don't know, it's one of the two. She has a very competitive nature as well, as she views finding Gregory as some form of game that she for some reason needs to win. She even seems to enjoy taunting and insulting her enemies, and notably insulting Gregory by saying he has no friends and that no one will miss him, which I don't think how that's supposed to help. However, she is shown to also have self-esteem issues, and at one point she can be seen calling herself a failure while looking in the mirror. And several of her voice lines while she's hunting you also imply that she likes bullying people for their own insecurities, because you know what, of course she does. Roxy talks to herself a lot and cares a lot about the way she looks, sobbing and wailing after Gregory destroys her face, and she also just doesn't want her friends to see this more vulnerable side of her. So when Glamrock Freddy enters her room while she is crying, she angrily yells at him to get out. And if you enter as Gregory, she just runs away. Honestly though, in real life I hate these kind of people. I hate like this archetype of a person, so to see an animatronic like that pisses me off, and I feel rightfully so. But some people like her, considering the fan art that I've seen. So yeah, good luck on this one, editors. And at 9, Gregory. Gregory is the main protagonist of Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach. However, just because he's a protagonist doesn't mean he's a good person. Gregory is an irritated and outspoken kid. Usually whenever he gets slightly annoyed or mad, like when he got a crappy item that he was stealing, or when he realized that he had 5 more hours to survive instead of 5 minutes. He openly also makes a comment to showcase his anger. Likewise, he will also immediately complain to anyone if he dislikes something that they're doing, such as when he told Freddy to shut up in a pretty aggressive tone. On the other hand, he is also cautious to the point that he appears to be in constant distress. In his quest to leave the Mega Pizzaplex before it closes, he prefers to hide from Vanessa instead of accepting her help, as he's pretty skeptical of her intentions in spite of her position as a security guard, and then even Freddy prompts him to trust her. Some people think that he's a good person because he's investigating the disappearances, or starts doing so after staying past 6 AM. However, I feel like he's more so doing that to allow his sadistic nature to come out to destroy more things instead of any noble purposes. Ever since people got mad at me for pointing out his various crimes in the game, I haven't liked this character, so that's why he's at like the top of this list. But I hate Roxy even more though. And at 8, Vanny. Vanny is a follower of the digital virus Glitch Trap, a form of the serial killer William Afton, and appears as the main antagonist in FNAF Security Breach. However, it is also noted by a lot of people that she wasn't really used all that well, hence her higher position. It's revealed in the Princess Quest minigames that she was also the main protagonist of FNAF Help Wanted, where she was first corrupted by Glitch Trap and like the actual ending to the game. She also plays a role in FNAF AR Special Delivery. In Help Wanted though, Vanny has some uncertainty in her voice when being confronted about her task, implying that she at first wasn't fully ready to kill people. However, by the time we get to Security Breach, she has apparently killed at least 9 kids at the Pizzaplex, as we see in a newspaper article in the bad ending. However, that could also just be 8 kids and Gregory, since one of the silhouettes really looks like him, meaning that the kids who have died are just the ones who are missing because their profiles got wiped out at the actual Mega Pizzaplex. And they're not necessarily dead, although they're most definitely dead. Vanny is shown to have a sadistic personality hidden behind a childlike flamboyance. This is shown through her just like casually skipping after Gregory as he runs from her in terror. Before she runs at him with her arms outstretched, she just kind of like lashes out at him. But her skipping after him, that also, like, that's not really that intimidating. Like, if someone saw that security tape, they figured that they were just like messing around. Just saying. And at 7, Sunny/Moondrop. The daycare attendant is the sun or moon-headed animatronic consisting of 2 different personalities that share the same vessel, ironically kind of like Vanny. Their first appearance was in this game. The character acts as sort of a mascot for 2 different candy brands. They go by the names Sunny Drop Energizing Candy and Moondrop Sleepy Time Candy, which sounds like what my mom would call her sleeping pills when I was acting up. The animatronics reside in the superstar daycare of the Freddy Fazbear Mega Pizzaplex, and Moon appears when the light levels seemingly drop. It's unknown if Moon is activated when the lights go out specifically in the daycare, or if he just activates when the area around him is dark in addition to every hour, but it's still creepy as hell, okay? Like, as soon as the lights go out and nobody can see, this dude goes a little bit psycho and starts talking about how naughty children must be punished as soon as the lights go out. Yeah, the creep factor, okay, is why he's higher on the list, but the fact that his minigame is so good, or why his section is so good, is why he's not at like the top. It's creepy as hell though. And at 6, Vanessa. Vanessa A is the security guard for the Mega Pizzaplex who appears in this game. In FNAF AR Special Delivery, she goes under Afton's control and is replaced by Vanny during the gameplay. And she's referred to in the actual like emails as Ness. And now she's hunting Gregory. This continues on until the end of the game, depending on which ending the player also gets, including the secret ending. Vanessa will either be shown at the end eating ice cream with Freddy and Gregory, or at the rooftop, and then she gets knocked down and then she's dead, or she gets killed by Gregory very aggressively and people think that was self-defense. However, if the player were to unlock the bad ending, the good ending, or the bird trap ending, Vanessa isn't actually there. So she's not there in the canon ending, which makes this a whole other can of worms. This may be because she fled the Pizzaplex, she may be there if it collapses, we don't know. The 2 characters share very similar names, with Vanny seemingly being a contradiction of Vanessa, as well as a combination of Vanessa and Bunny, as pointed out by Glamrock Freddy, which is basically the game telling us that they're the same. Like, this is as direct as a FNAF game will get, okay? At this point, Vanessa is confirmed to be Vanny. Special delivery scrapped emails and security breaches retro CDs also seem to heavily imply that Vanessa and Vanny are indeed the same person. But more so confirmed that Vanessa and Ness are one and the same. So we kind of have like a timeline for the character, which is the first timeline we've ever gotten in this series. A proper one, at least. Halfway through, in at number 5, Glamrock Chica. Just like the other members of the Glamrocks, Glamrock Chica is dressed in a 1970s vibe. She is a white-pink chicken with an orange beak, blue eyes, pink eyelids, long eyelashes, and orange feet. Glamrock Chica wanders around the Pizzaplex aimlessly until spotting Gregory and charging at him. Her unique mechanic is that she will sometimes check random hiding spots, but like not after you hide. So like she'll sometimes just randomly check hiding spots, unlike other animatronics will only do it if they watch you like run away. It's confusing, okay? So it's harder to hide from her that way. She can also be distracted with certain props though. To decommission Chica, the player must find a box of Monty Mystery Mix and place it inside the compactor, and then pressing the button, which will cause Chica to actually enter it. You don't need to lure her into the trash compactor like I thought you did. I wasted a lot of time doing that. And then you press the button, the trash compactor crushes her, shatters her, then you get dragged and you go underground and stuff, okay? In her shattered state though, she seemingly is able to run faster, which I guess makes sense given the reduced mass. While inside Glamrock Freddy though, she won't notice the player at all and will continue to wander aimlessly. She got nothing upstairs, okay? But she still has my heart. And at this point, I don't know if I'm joking anymore. She will chase me till the ends of the earth, and that's what I want. Dedication. And at 4, DJ Music Man. DJ Music Man is extremely similar in head shape to the original Music Man, however many of his details have been swapped out and enlarged. He now has blue eyebrows, cheeks, and a stripe on his chin, as well as a pink nose and lipstick, and eyeliner with blue bags under his eyes. His top hat now has a green stripe. The top row of his teeth are decorated to look like piano keys, like some really weird grill. That's what they're called, right? Grills? And the inside of his mouth is glowing pink and has a changing pattern, because of course it does. He now dons a large pair of green and red headphones, because you know he's a DJ, and wears big cartoony gloves on his 6 spider limbs. Finally, this variant of Music Man is much larger than the original, obviously, being about a story tall from the bottom of his head to the top, and also stands at over 2 stories tall. While turning on the generators to restart the West Arcade, Music Man will wait outside the bathroom attempting to crush Gregory through one of the doorways while you're doing the generator, you go into the closet, you pull the thing, and then you come out and Music Man's there staring at you. To escape, the player must quickly run out of the opposite door that Music Man's hand is inside. So like he'll be in like the left door, you gotta run out the right door, etc. Running out too early will actually also kill the player, so you gotta wait. Finally, when turning on the final generator, the player will have to run away from Music Man as he chases them down a room filled with various junk, which Music Man will just throw at you and put like in your way, and then you gotta dodge around it. Yeah. After that chase sequence though, for the remainder of the game, Music Man will be at his DJ booth just kind of dancing and playing music. And like this dude's one of the best characters, okay? It's great. He's freaky, but he's cool. He just does this for the rest of the game. Yeah. Getting close to the end at number 3, Glamrock Freddy. Glamrock Freddy is based off the original Freddy Fazbear with a punk-themed design reminiscent of early, like, 1980s, or like what we associate with the 1980s. I wasn't alive in the 1980s, so I don't know. But Glamrock Freddy is still initially introduced as a bookish, straightforward entertainer, unlike other animatronics in the FNAF franchise, and his previous iterations actually. But Glamrock Freddy is overall friendly, honest, and has an agreeable personality, even in the face of an adversary, as shown when dealing with Vanessa, or at least at that point he doesn't really suspect her, so it's unsure. He is shown to be very protective of Gregory and very focused on keeping him safe, going as far as allowing him to be in his stomach, albeit he is first uncomfortable with that. Because like it's not a compartment for humans to hide in. It's supposed to be for a cake. So I don't know how Gregory fits in there. But like I wouldn't want a kid to hide in my like chest either. That seems like a bad idea. He's generally nice and polite as well, and he often apologizes, which kind of makes him more like the most Canadian animatronic ever. But he's also a little oblivious, as shown during his first encounter with Vanny, although to be fair, he couldn't see Vanny without Roxanne's eyes. And when he's upgraded with the other Glamrock's parts, as seen when getting upgraded with Monty Gator's claws, he doesn't really like to be upgraded. It's weird. He doesn't want his friend's parts inside him. It's a weird dynamic, okay? But the relationship between Gregory and Freddy is one of the best parts of the game. It's like Eddie and Venom from the Venom movies, okay? It's mint. But ultimately, in at number 2, Montgomery Gator. Montgomery Gator is an alligator animatronic, okay? Obviously, he has sharp, pointy teeth, black claws, a red mohawk, like all gators have, green, scale, textured pants, which is a whole other can of worms, spots on his arms and his cheeks, light yellow belly and jaw, and okay, yeah. Monty has a typical, like, rock star stereotype personality, because, you know, he's constantly trashing his room, and he's rocking everything, he likes to flip his glasses down, he likes to destroy things, as you can see in his boss fight, and like the fact that he will like just break down fences all over the Pizzaplex, so much so that they actually have to put signs up to discourage him from doing that, which doesn't work. I don't know why they thought that would work. But he also seems to have some form of like dislike and hate towards Glamrock Freddy, as shown in the final level of his golf minigame that Freddy is left in a dumpster and Monty actually takes over his role as the lead animatronic entertainer, showing that he's jealous of Freddy's leadership and wants to overthrow him as kind of like a coup, which does actually happen in the van ending, so presumably also in every other ending when Freddy is taken from the Pizzaplex. So you're welcome, Monty. And finally, in at number 1, Burn Trap. Burn Trap is at the top of this list because while some people may consider this a waste, it was certainly a surprise. We figured that Afton would come back this time, however we never thought that he would come back like this. We figured that there would be more ceremony to his resurrection, however Burn Trap was certainly not expected. At least I didn't think a new form of Afton would appear. I figured that we'd have some form of Scrap Trap or maybe even Glitch Trap this time around, but yeah. During the final fight against him, Burn Trap walks between 3 different rooms and then you have to burn him again, which is like the 12th time this dude is burned, so I don't know why we have to keep doing it. Clearly it doesn't work. But yeah, if you don't end up burning him though, he will take over Glamrock Freddy and his eyes will turn purple and he'll run at you and kill you. So you actually do have to burn him.
Number 10. Fake Charlie. Fake Charlie is a character from the Silver Eyes trilogy. Spoiler alert for books and a trilogy that is now almost collectively 3 years old. But still, Fake Charlie appears in Fourth Closet, where we learn that she is really Circus Baby. Dun dun dun. I spoiled that for you. I'm sorry if you haven't read the books, but you probably know even if you haven't read them because FNAF lore, we have to know everything. A lot of fans love Fake Charlie. They love to draw her dressed up, looking cute, fighting other Charlies, still robotic, but I suppose the one we would consider more real Charlie. Fake Charlie is just one that I see a lot of fan art for, and so I thought it would be cool to include her on this list. After all, the term FNAF characters means I get to include the books here as well. So yay. Why do people love Fake Charlie? I imagine because she is so bad. We love to love a bad gal. And of course we love to love a bad circus baby, whether she is from the game continuity or the book trilogy continuity. Number 9. Springtrap. Considering that Springtrap is one of the major antagonists in the whole of the FNAF franchise, it's no surprise that fans love him so much. Well, love to hate him? Love to learn more about him and spin theories about him at least. I think that's honestly what we mean when we say love here. We don't glorify William Afton's actions as fans, but we're fascinated by him and find him to be a compelling and a truly terrifying villain. So in that regard, he gets a lot of love and respect from the fan community. And we definitely always expect him to come back. Partly because he's so loved as a villain, so how could you get rid of him? And partly because, well, it's William Afton. He always does come back. So give us William Afton and then add in the terrifying design of his shambling corpse within a Spring Bonnie suit, and it's understandable why people both fear and love Springtrap so much. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, if you are loving this list and you are loving us talking about the characters from FNAF that we love, be sure to let us know by giving this video a thumbs up. I got a lot more characters that we love that are not mentioned here and deserve to be mentioned, so I feel like we definitely need to do a part 2 for this one. Number 8. Freddy. Despite the fact that some of the other animatronics seemingly outshone Freddy in that first FNAF game, Golden Freddy even I think outshone main Freddy in some ways there, Freddy still remains a fan favorite. Trust me, every time I leave Freddy off a list like this, I am inundated with fans in the comments shouting about how much they love Freddy and how dare I imply that he doesn't have a huge dedicated fan base. So what I'm saying is, it turns out he does have just that. I know, I've seen it. Freddy is the main mascot of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, so it makes sense that people would love this animatronic. He also has tons of alternate versions of himself, with some helping him to become, I think now, even more popular among fans. Although I guess those alternate versions should really get credit themselves for that love, so perhaps some other versions of the animatronic will pop up on this list. Any guesses about which other Freddys we might possibly be talking about here? Number 7. Puppet. The Puppet is definitely a popular character who I think a lot of people inherently band together around because, well, they feel pretty bad for her. There's like a lot of love here because, like, kind of pity love, but also like, oh no. Also, we have the Silver Eyes book trilogy giving a lot of backstory to the person who becomes the puppet in the games, Charlie. Charlie is the daughter of Henry Emily. In the games, Charlie ends up murdered when the puppet is unable to protect her. Charlie's soul then becomes bonded to the puppet animatronic, and as such, the puppet is, in essence, also Charlie. Although this version of Charlie technically has a very different backstory from the Silver Eyes trilogy, those books I think still made people really gravitate towards even the version from the game continuity. I think they just like boosted popularity in general for this character. Also, the puppet for me is one of the creepiest animatronics, so give me a cool disturbing character design and then like add in a tragic backstory and I personally am here for it. Number 6. Lolbit. Lolbit! What can I say about Lolbit? For being such a small character with a really minuscule role in comparison to some of the other main cast, this one is one that a lot of fans seem to have a soft spot for. In fact, I was actually the one who suggested we do a Lolbit facts list on this channel because of how much support and love I saw for Lolbit amongst the FNAF fan community who watches our videos specifically. lately. Like, a lot of you seem to love Lolbit, and honestly, although this character does often play a smaller, often cameo role in any games she's appeared in, I think I get it. I get the love. And I mean, that list that we suggested, it did really well because that love is there. I think for me, the cool thing about Lolbit is the mystery of this character. I like this character because there's so much on the sidelines. It makes you wonder more about Lolbit, and because you know less, you instinctively want to learn more, which also gets you theorizing, thinking up what could possibly fill in the gap. Number 5, Psychic Friend Fredbear. Psychic Friend Fredbear is definitely one of the characters that I love the most, who is more officially known by the name of Fredbear Plush. And I think I have to give major credit to MatPat and the Game Theorist crew for making me love this character so much. Psychic Friend Fredbear is the companion of Crying Child that we see in FNAF 4. Why do we love this smaller, plushy-like animatronic who seems to watch our every move as Crying Child so much? It's creepy moving eyes. I guess because they're cute, they mean well, or at least they seem to mean well, and because they were given such a fun name and fun song by MatPat. Are those good enough reasons? I think they're good enough reasons. Number 4, Toy Chica. I mean, everyone loves Toy Chica, and then there are a lot of people who love Toy Chica for, some reasons. Reasons I don't think I can talk about safely on YouTube without fear of being reprimanded, so yeah. But you know, this is Toy Chica. You know what I'm talking about. You know, you've seen Toy Chica. You know what's going on. Why do we love Toy Chica? Because she's cute? Because she's terrifying? Because she somehow at the same time is both of those things? Yeah, I think so. I personally love things that are like super cute but also freak me out. I just think that juxtaposition is really fascinating. And that Let's Party bib combined with her pink shorts or bikini bottoms or whatever those are, I don't know. They make many of us want to party with her, I think. I think that's also a thing that's going on. I feel like I mainly love Chica because to me it's like she appreciates a good snack and she always has cupcakes. I partially feel like I could actually be friends with Chica, perhaps. I know she'll probably kill me, but I feel like it could work, maybe. And sure, you know, the cupcakes that she has, they will attack you, but still, at least that cupcake is gonna look delicious while it attacks you and like eats your face. So I think that's fine as well. Number 3, Circus Baby. Circus Baby has to be one of the most popular animatronics around when it comes to FNAF. I know for me, she really sticks out due to her character development being so well paced in Sister Location. Also, she's not your typical villain or your typical hero. I mean, she's definitely not a hero. Circus Baby is more complicated than either of those labels. And although she is mainly antagonistic, I wouldn't classify her as a straight up villain by any means. Sure, she does bad stuff, but I mean, I do think she's kind of misguided, and really, whether we're talking about Circus Baby the animatronic or the soul of Elizabeth that is trapped within her, she's really more of a tragic figure than anything else, who feels as though her actions, no matter how awful they are justified because of her tragic backstory. Number 2, Glamrock Freddy. Glamrock Freddy is quickly becoming a fan favorite to beat all other fan favorite characters thanks to his story in Security Breach and his role as Gregory's companion slash ally, aka your companion slash ally since you play as Gregory. Glamrock Freddy is the actual animatronic friend and ally that we've pretty much all been dreaming of since we created our own backstories for Foxy back in FNAF 1. Glamrock Freddy can help you sneak around and generally seems to care about the well-being and safety of Gregory. Not only that, but he also seems to want to genuinely hang out and have fun with Gregory, aka with you. It's all actually pretty touching. And through Security Breach, you are likely legitimately worried likewise for Glamrock Freddy's safety and well-being, not wanting to lose your powerful ally, or honestly, your new best bud. Number 1, Foxy. I think one of the most lovable characters of all time from FNAF has to be Foxy. And I think the original Foxy is probably one of the most loved of all of the versions of this animatronic that we've seen. Why the original? Well, probably because they were the animatronic that was around first, so we've had the most time to love that animatronic. Also, something about Foxy's seeming personality traits, but more, I guess, mechanics and how we've interpreted said mechanics into personality traits is what generally leaves us always wanting more Foxy in the FNAF games and stories. I think people like that Foxy seems kinda shy, but also tend to interpret that Foxy is simply like a misunderstood hero because of that given trait. Of course, we know based on confirmation that Foxy is not a hero at all, but still a villain, but we still dream of befriending this piratical animatronic fox.
And it's Vanny. For For the most part, people love Vanny. A fresh new face taking up the serial killer slot is very refreshing and very needed in the series' 9th game. However, a lot of fans are upset over the use of the character, or I guess lack thereof. In a game as big as FNAF, we see Vanny maybe 4 times memorably. When she walks across the screen after the daycare, when she traps us in the security room, when she chases us after starting the Showtime disc, and in the security room where the whole Gregory venting meme originated. Those are the 4 times, not including endings, where we see Vanny and can actually get killed by her, at least from my memory, since the main antagonist of the game is not even in the canon ending. So it's understandable why some people would be all up in a tizzy about the use of the main villain in this game. And honestly, it's actually kind of interesting, since Skyrim, one of the most revered and also broken games of all time, doesn't show their villain much as well. You see him maybe 4 times in the main story as well, but he's made out to be a bigger villain than it actually is shown. Every dragon you face is because of Alduin, the whole province is terrified of Alduin, there's a whole prophecy surrounding him. That's how you make a good villain in a broken game. Especially when he only shows up a few times. Which Security Breach ironically also is. Like, it's also horrifically broken, but they didn't do well with their villain. In at 9, the Puppet. The Puppet is certainly hated by William, which ends up earning it a spot on this list. But interestingly enough, the guy who created the Puppet isn't the only one who hates the creation that gave gifts and gave life to the other animatronics. In fact, he wasn't even the first one to hate it. Way back in the day, after FNAF 2's initial release in 2014, we made the connection that Purple Guy hated the Puppet, and so did the Phone Guy. So then, we all ended up assuming that Phone Guy was the killer, since at the same time we had no name or reason otherwise to think that the Purple Guy was anyone else other than the Phone Guy. At least until Scott commented on MatPat's video saying that it wasn't the case, saying MatPat almost got everything right. However, I'm sure that the guy who's also killed all the various kids in the series does also hate the Puppet, especially when it's the reason that all the other animatronics came to life, which ultimately ended up being your downfall. So. In at 8, Glitch Trap. While Glitch Trap is certainly a popular version of William Afton, certainly being more popular than Scrap Trap at the very least, he's not as popular as some other versions, and still has one of the creepiest vibes out of all of the William Aftons, mostly because of the dancing. And yes, the dancing is the reason Glitch Trap is on this list, because who the living, or I guess undead sentient code living hell, would think that this is a good dance? This is some of the most horrendous dancing I've ever seen, and have you seen my dance moves? They're horrible. I am like the whitest white dude trying to dance ever. But there's like my bad, and then there's Glitch Trap's bad. And honestly, a dude being kept alive by the spirit of his dead son who was shoved full of robotic parts trying to kill me, that's fine. I can deal with it because it's so painfully unrealistic. But a dude just in a furry suit trying to lead me to the back of the pizza joint for a little extra party is too much, okay? That's why it's so creepy. Because removing the context of he's just sentient code, that is absolutely horrifying and also just plain wrong. And at 7, Mrs. Afton. See, now Mrs. Afton is on this list specifically for me, because I hate Mrs. Afton. And while she may never have actually been in the games, the community has managed to make her absolutely unbearable anyway. Mostly because of all the different versions of her that people claim are canon. Okay? Clara Afton isn't canon. It's based off a character from a show in the FNAF universe where the guy wearing purple isn't even named Will, so I don't know why you think that the name of Clara is actually the canon one if he's not named Will, he's named Vlad. So what, is William Vlad now? No, he's not, exactly. Mrs. Afton also does not possess Ballora. Ballora was meant to represent the mother of his kids, but she's not possessed by the mother. And for God's sakes, we don't know what happened to her. Stop yelling at me in my DMs and comments saying that she died in a car crash or that she is possessing Ballora. There's people even commenting on Gaming Elite saying that she's possessing Ballora. No, stop it, okay? None has been confirmed. The only thing that's been confirmed is that she literally has to exist because William has kids. Hell, if his kids are adopted, Ballora could have just represented a surrogate mother so that his kids would have one, or someone he dated for a bit and then got way too invested in. I can relate to that one. Either way, Thanks to all this crap surrounding her, I hate Mrs. Afton. And at 6, nightmares. The nightmare animatronics first introduced in FNAF 4 have caused ungodly amounts of grief for anyone trying to piece together the lore of this godforsaken series. See, there are some community members, such as myself, who believe that the FNAF 4 animatronics are figments of Crying Child's imagination that he sees in a coma while trying to survive his chomping. But then there are others who understandably think that they were figments created by the sound illusion discs introduced in the Twisted One's novels, since those animatronics are basically the book equivalent of the nightmares. And then somehow they appear in Ultimate Custom Night despite both versions of how these were created, having Crying Child as the only one who sees these animatronics. And then people want to go on saying that Crying Child is not the one you should not have killed. Ironically enough, the nightmare animatronics have given me a lot of restless nights, and not because I'm scared or thinking about Chica, but just because of the lore. The goddamn lore. Halfway through into number 5, Gregory. This goddamn kid, okay? I don't like him, and apparently a load of people are with me. This kid, no reference to the whole venting thing, is sus as hell. Gregory is one sussy baka. But in actuality, this guy is just a menace. I said this in a video and people didn't like me for it, but Gregory commits plenty of crimes within just what we see in the game, not to mention what we can infer as well. Breaking and entering, trespassing, stealing security badges, stealing Fazbear merch, vandalism, destruction of property, grand larceny for stealing Freddy, hacking the animatronics, murder. Gregory straight up kills Vanny in the phaser blast ending without it being in self-defense, since he's the one who initiated the conflict, and Vanny really shows no interest in killing Gregory outright, especially because she has robots that could have done it and she doesn't use them. And then he tears her to shreds using those robots, which is absolutely too much force to constitute a sufficient argument for self-defense. This kid is incredibly messed up, yet some people think that he's a hero because he's the first protagonist to actually do something, okay? He didn't need to. He should have just chilled with Freddy in his green room and then just like kicked back and relaxed, especially if he didn't have a home to go back to and instead sleeps in a cardboard box. I think that Freddy's green room is much better than that. So he should have just chilled there. Freddy wasn't going to try to report him to Vanessa. He would have protected him if Vanessa came a knocking. Gregory is stupid and he deserves to be hated. I wonder how many people say that about me. In at 4, Crying Child. Aside from just being a little crybaby Caillou mimicking in FNAF 4, Crying Child also started the whole debate of the bite of 83 versus the bite of 87. And I say this every time, basically, but the line is so blurred now that even if you look up the bite of 87, you get pictures of FNAF 4, which a few of our editors have had happen to them in the past, and then people were yelling in the comments saying, that's the bite of 83, like, I know, okay, we know. But they don't know the series as well as I do, so it's understandable, and they don't want to know the series as well as I do, which is also understandable. Which only furthers my point as to why this child is also a menace, okay? Anyone looking to get into the series that looks up the bite of 87, one of the most iconic dates in all of FNAF history, would see these images and think that FNAF 4 takes place in 1987, when it in actuality really takes place in 1983, as confirmed multiple times. But people are still adamant on it taking place 4 years after it actually does, and it's annoying. Do you know how many hate messages I've gotten that just end up being because the person yelling at me thinks the bite of 87 is actually the bite of 83? Yeah. It's bad, and Crying Child is the reason that this damn thing happened in the first place, or part of the reason. I mean, like, overall, he wouldn't have gotten crushed if he didn't exist, so, like, yeah, I don't like him. Getting close to the end, in number 3, Cassidy. Cassidy's hate stems from a similar place as Mrs. Afton's. That place being my own bias, because it's my list, so deal with it. But in this case, I don't like Cassidy because of all the wrenches they caused and what we already thought we knew about the story. Like the whole one you should not have killed thing, which I personally still don't believe. I'm certain the one you should not have killed is Crying Child and not Cassidy. But even still, the whole two souls theory that's being taken as canon also is due to Cassidy and the very obscure name revealed that was the survival logbook. It's a whole can of worms that honestly didn't need to be opened. And even after it was, here I am trying to sort everything out, put the worms back in the can can, and people are mad at me for it because I'm not MatPat. I have no hard feelings towards MatPat by any means. In fact, I think that Matt and I would do great work together if we put our minds to it. However, damn people in the comments get defensive even if you don't directly mention him, as long as you say something that's slightly against it. Like, you say one thing that MatPat hasn't, like how Golden Freddy is Cassidy and only Cassidy, while the one you should not have killed is Crying Child, because logically that makes more sense, and boom, you're public enemy number 1. Top 10 FNAF public enemies. Penultimately, in at number 2, Michael Afton. Michael Afton is also another problem in my opinion. Like, I could go over how he caused a load of people to think that the purple guy and William were 2 different people thanks to him turning purple after Ennard was beating up his insides and rearranging his guts, literally. But really, Michael to me just seems fairly entitled. Like, yeah, he's trying to right his father's wrongs and whatnot, but looking at him, he's not doing it because he's a good person. He's doing it because he feels bad, and not because of some higher noble purpose. He blames himself for getting his brother killed, which subsequently means that anything he does, he's doing to try to make himself feel better about his mistakes. And he doesn't even really have the gall to actually stop his father once and for all. He says that he's going to come find him, but when he actually does find him in FNAF 6, he doesn't burn the place to the ground to stop him. Henry's the one who does that. Henry is the only one willing to actually stop William, and that just shows how not serious Michael is. He just wants redemption in his own mind. If he really wanted to make sure that William was stopped, he wouldn't have let himself burn in the FNAF 6 fire. But he does let himself burn so that he won't have to feel the regret of hurting his brother and the curse of knowing what his father is doing and then continues to do after this game. You know I'm right. And finally, in at number 1, William Afton. I think that the William Afton fan club, for lack of a better term, is split evenly down the middle of those who love to hate him and those who love and or hate to love him. And honestly, those who love him might love him a little too much. Like serial killer groupies or apologists who are like, yeah, I love him. But even worse, because so many people see William as a rotting corpse. In essence, he's actually just like a skinned human in an animatronic suit, but there is some serious baggage there if that's what you're into. Talk about daddy issues. If you're so desperate for a father figure that you'll simp for a homicidal maniac stuck in an animatronic robot, yeah, I'm sorry. William needs to die and be killed off permanently, for God's sake, okay? Like seriously, we need to cut this off at the source and remove any form of Afton from our lives so that I can forget about all the horrendous art that I've seen and been sent over the years. Now don't get me wrong, the actual art was good. Like those who drew it were very skilled, but the horrendous nature comes from the content of the art, not the actual like skill of the artist, if you know what I mean. Like they drew horrible things, but they drew horrible things well. You dig?